What's up, folks? We are live. Appreciate you joining me this fine Wednesday evening. Probably not going to be too much, or I should say, too long of a stream. Probably going to be a roughly same amount of runtime, maybe about an hour and a half, maybe two at most. But I want to thank you all for joining me. We'll get right into it here in just a moment. Waiting on some more people to join, not just in the chat, but I think I might be having some co-hosts tonight. Maybe not, but regardless, we're going to get into this because there is a couple things I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over the lawsuit, the documents that were filed, as well as going over Jisu's GoFundMe and the trouble she seems to be having with it. Or has had with it within the past 24 hours. I find that all to be very interesting. And the fact that it's back now, by the way, for those of you that didn't know, her GoFundMe is back, but there have been some changes to it. Wonder why. So we'll go ahead and get right into this here. So let me just show you guys real quick what her GoFundMe looked like yesterday when it was first launched. Okay. So we're going to go to first. Go to the first. Here we go. So if you guys remember yesterday, this is what her GoFundMe looked like yesterday when it was launched, right? It said ex-gamer and abuser, ZeRo, suing me for speaking up. Okay. And then this, I believe, is all still remained the same, right? We know that this right here that she sourced, that I believe on the GoFundMe, that's still the same. She basically sourced herself. The explanation, I think, largely kind of all stayed the same. I think the other thing she changed was this up here was the title, as well as a few other things. But that's what it looked like yesterday. Then at some point, this is what happened. I'm going to go to the next part here. If you guys remember this, sometime in the wee hours, this happened. Right? It went down. And then she was saying that it went down because she made some changes on it and it was down for more than 6 hours and she was complaining about it. So that happened. And now we're back at this. I'm going to share her GoFundMe as how it looks like now. So this is what it looks like now, right? It's funny that she blurred out the person's name of the article. Like somebody can't find it just by looking up the actual name of the article, which that article is still up, by the way. This is from a Kotaku article, but you see now it says help Jisu's legal fund or legal fees. So, and this more or less, like I said, a lot of this is still the same. We still have her sourcing herself in this, if you open it up, still sourcing to her own Twitter thread. But, we see she made some progress, and she did lower the goal. Because if you all remember, initially the goal of her GoFundMe was about $150,000. So now she's lowered it. And there's been some one could argue some suspicious activity on it. But I wonder if she's spoken to a lawyer finally. Because if you all recall, like I said, from seeing her GoFundMe, not just her GoFundMe, but what she had said, when she was announcing the GoFundMe, which we all kind of pointed and laughed at yesterday. And again, let me just say this right off the bat. Obviously, don't contact anybody that we talk about here. Don't harass anybody. Don't send them any kind of messages, any threatening messages, any of that. Obviously, we don't condone that kind of behavior, and I disavow it. So we just like to sit here and point and laugh at people that do dumb shit. So, and I think that's that is something that we should continue to do. Just have fun with it, right? Let's point and laugh at her expense, point and laugh at the expense of anybody that does dumb shit like this. So let me go ahead and show you. Which again, this I still don't understand. And again, this is indicative to me, at least, or my assumption is that she still hasn't spoken to a lawyer at all. Because if we go to her Twitter, she still has this up, right? Now, mind you, and we're going to get into the document, Jisu is being sued for defamation. So what does this genius go ahead and do? She goes ahead and makes this tweet, right, where she shares her GoFundMe, wherein she continues to defame him by saying this and by saying this. This is defamation per se, or libel per se, right? Is what she's doing here. Because this cannot be proven unequivocally, So being the genius that she is, she's being sued for defamation, continues to defame the guy. Announces her GoFundMe by continuing to defame the guy. So yeah, not too smart on her part. But hey, what's going on, Sen? Sen, you got the link if you want to hop in here at any point, buddy. But yeah, she doesn't seem too bright doing this shit. So I want to go over this before we get into the document. I want to go over this because no sooner did she mention that she was being sued than her old pal Jacob Wolf, who initially reported on the story from .esports, mocked this up right last night. So I'm gonna go over this article here, give some thoughts on the article, and then we'll look at a few other things that are relevant, and then we'll get into the actual. I'll go over the documents with you guys, right? And just first and foremost, okay, I'm gonna go out on the record and say, obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I have a very limited understanding of the law. I will interpret it to the best of my ability, but don't take anything I say with any kind of, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. If anything, I will try to interpret it to the best of what I understand. Okay. So just realize that anything that I say in regards to the documents, don't take it as gospel or anything like that. It's just the way I'm going to interpret it to the best of my ability from my limited understanding of the law, from a purely layman's standpoint. So I want to just put that disclaimer out there. But let's get into this article here real quick, and then we'll get into all the other fun stuff. So it says, ex-Smash Pro ZeRo sues former roommate Jisu, alleges defamation over past sexual misconduct claims. The lawsuit credits the downfall of ZeRo's career and gaming contracts to claims made in 2020. So it says here, former Super Smash Bros. Pro Gonzalo ZeRo Barrios filed a lawsuit against his former roommate Jacqueline Jisu Cho, accusing her of defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress regarding allegations she made of sexual misconduct in July 2020, according to documents obtained by .esports. The once popular streamer alleges that claims made by Cho and anonymous defendants ended his career, including the termination of his contracts with Facebook Gaming and Tempo Storm, as well as the deletion of his inactive Twitch channel, which had more than 520,000 followers. Barrios filed suit on November 19th in Los Angeles County Superior Court and is seeking an unspecified amount of damages. The case specifically centers around 4 allegations Cho made, which Barrios and his attorney claim are false. In a July 2020 tweet, Cho claimed that Barrios and his now wife, Vanessa, began dating when he was 20 and she was 15, that he later allegedly physically abused her. Barrios and his attorney said the suit and the couple in 31 months apart in age, and that he never physically abused Vanessa. The next claim centers around an allegation Cho made that Barrios solicited sexually explicit videos from an anonymous 14-year-old girl and offered to fly another underage girl to events to perform sexual acts in a July 2020 TwitLonger post. Barrios admitted to the allegation that he asked for such a video from the 14-year-old girl in the lawsuit filed on November 19th. He and his counsel denied the allegation that he offered to fly a minor to an event to perform sexual acts, but do not specifically address the other allegation. They don't have to, and I'll explain why once we get over to the document. Why I don't believe they do, and why I don't believe they will. So Barrios and his attorney also deny he ever showed Cho's sex worker listings on Craigslist or Hentai while living together, claiming the Craigslist banned those advertisements in 2010. Cho responded to the lawsuit on Twitter today and asked followers to donate to a GoFundMe campaign that will be used to cover expenses during the lawsuit's proceedings. Last year, I used my platform to expose his sexual abuse of children. Again, it was stupid of her to say that, right? He admitted it, but now denies it and claims he lost his career because of me and of me, and not because he's a pedophile, she said. It is truly depressing that it's come to this. I'm angry and I'm tired, but mostly I'm disappointed that those who abuse others cannot accept the consequences of their actions, and disappointed in those who continue to support them. In his most recent public response regarding the situation, Barrios denied allegations of sexual misconduct raised against him by Cho and other anonymous individuals, revoking his previous admissions to the behavior and saying his statement at the time was nothing more than a suicide letter that was written in the midst of a mental breakdown. On March 23rd, emergency services were called to an Orlando home that Barrios lived in at the time, according to background check information obtained by .esports, documents provided by the Orange County Fire Rescue to .esports, including an audio call and an event log. So they're saying that they confirmed it. I mean, they don't share it here, but apparently Jacob Wolf at least went to the steps of confirming it, and I guess we just have to take his word for it. So it says, Shota caller reported that their friend had harmed themselves with a knife and was severely bleeding. On March 25th, Barrios' then fiancee, Vanessa, posted in a now deleted Twitter post an outdoor security camera picture of a man on a gurney being removed from the house and said Barrios had attempted suicide. Barrios and Cho are former residents of the Sky House, a series of homes rented in Southern California by popular YouTuber Sky Williams. Several residents of that home have made allegations against other residents and visitors of sexual misconduct. In addition to allegations against Barrios, Cho, who at the time was a minor, also alleged that she was RIP'd by a man who other roommates identified as then 25-year-old Smash Pro Jesse Vigio Warner. Since he made the public statements on November 16th, Barrios has returned to full-time content creation on YouTube, and that's where we have the article there thus far. So let me show you guys the tweet that was referenced in that article real quick, because again, something that is relevant to this. This was it, right? See, on 3/23, Gonzalo attempted suicide after being treated in the hospital. He was sent in for further care. Humans are more than their mistake, especially when they've put out more good onto the world. I'll always love you, even if you're not together, and I'll pray that you see the light. And we see here, this is the tweet in question, and this is presumably from a security camera that is at ZeRo's home. So, and from to the best of my understanding, this did happen. So it wasn't a thing of him, suicide baiting or anything like that. He apparently did attempt to take his own life. Now, prior to that, apparently there was another time where he had he was attempting, but I guess that's when Vanessa had stopped him. And this attempt was actually from earlier this year, where he actually was apparently making good on doing himself in. So that's something that we have to take into consideration with all this, right? Is that it wasn't just a baiting thing. It's something that he really did at one point try to follow through with. So now we got that out of the way. Let's just go ahead and get into the document itself. All right. As I said, we won't go too long tonight. Just give some thoughts on it. We'll go from there. So let's go ahead and find. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go over this part here. So this is it right here. I'm doing it from here, even though I downloaded the PDF just because it's easier for me to go over from here. So just bear with me. But as you can see, it's been filed. It says Gonzalo Barrios versus Jacqueline Cho, Los Angeles County Superior Court. This is his, the legal firm that he has retained for this. So it says Gonzalo Barrios as individual plaintiff versus Jacqueline Cho, an individual, and Doe's 1 through 10 inclusive defendants. Okay. And you see the complaint right here, if you guys will notice, is for defamation, an intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, defamation already, my understanding of defamation of itself is pretty hard. It's pretty hard to prove in court, especially when it comes to public figures and things like that. But I think that he might have a pretty good case because of the fact that a lot of the stuff that she had done, I think they'll be able to prove malice for, and the fact that she put stuff out there and continued to put stuff out there even after she was hit with this lawsuit, still continued to publicly libel and defame him. I think that's all going to factor in his favor. Can't say for sure because you never know how these things are going to go. But her best bet at this point is to do this. Let me show you guys this real quick, and we'll get back to that document, because this is basically a slap lawsuit. So her best bet is probably to file an anti-slap, to get it dismissed. And the reason for that will, I think, become pretty clear when I get back to the document. But this is your best chance, right? Filing an anti-slap. So I'll read over what this says. So this is Code of Civil Procedure, Section 425.16, California's anti-slap law. All right. So it says the legislator finds and declares that there has been a disturbing increase in lawsuits brought primarily to chill the valid exercise of constitutional rights of freedom of speech and petition of the redress of grievances. The legislator finds and declares that it is in the public interest to encourage continued participation in matters of public significance, and that participation should not be chilled through abuse of the judicial process. To this end, this section shall be construed broadly. So that basically, this is here to basically quash what would be looked at as a frivolous lawsuit, just to kind of be like, nope, just we're gonna use this to dismiss stuff like that, because what this person did is covered under free speech and stuff, whatever. But I don't think Jisu is going to be able to be successful in filing an anti-slap, just because, like I said, of all the stuff that she's put out there, all the negative stuff that she's put out there, the parts where she has literally called them a predator, a pedo, things like that. I think that that's really going to work against her again. And like I said, the fact that she continued to do this even after the lawsuit was filed is really, it's going to hurt her. You know what I mean? And a lot of her tweets, mind you, a lot of those tweets are still up. Now, it's not going to really matter because those tweets are no doubt being archived. Okay. So even if she deletes them, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. There's no doubt that ZeRo's attorneys are going to have all the proof they need in regards to her libelous statements online, right? So let's continue on here. Where was I? Okay. So it says here, a cause of action against a person arising from an act of that person is in furtherance of the person's right of petition of free speech under the United States Constitution or California Constitution in connection with a public issue shall be subject to a special motion to strike unless the court determines that the plaintiff has established that there is a probability that the plaintiff will prevail on the claim. And that's important, right? Because I think that ZeRo has enough, to believe. I think there's a pretty good chance that he will prevail on these claims, because I'm willing to bet, just considering the statements themselves and what's been put out there, I think that his attorneys will be able to prove malice. So that's important. I think that he will have enough. He will have enough. I think she talked way too much. You also got to remember that when all of this kicked off, Jisu essentially took victory laps, right? I mean, she went on a couple different, to a couple different websites, so and basically peddled this story around. She no doubt profited from it to a certain degree, right? So to me, there is a lot. There's a lot of things that you could look at least on the surface, and see that she largely benefited from, whereas he essentially lost his career because of these claims. And we know that more now because of these filings. And like I said, we'll get into them in just 1 moment. I won't get through this whole thing, but I'll get through through a little bit more here. So it says, Let me see. Okay, so in making its determination, the court shall consider the pleadings and supporting and opposing affidavits stating the fact upon which the liability or defense is based. If the court determines that the plaintiff has established a probability that he or she will prevail on the claim, neither that determination nor the fact of that determination shall be admissible in evidence at any later stage of the case or in any subsequent action, and no burden of proof or degree of proof otherwise applicable shall be affected by that determination in any later stage of the case or in any subsequent proceeding. So we have here, except as provided in paragraph 2, in any action subject to subdivision, a prevailing defendant on a special motion to strike shall be entitled to recover his or her attorney fees and costs. If the court finds that a special motion to strike is frivolous or is solely intended to cause unnecessary delay, the court shall award costs and reasonable attorney fees to a plaintiff prevailing on the motion pursuant to section 128.5. A defendant who prevails on a special motion to strike in an action subject to paragraph excuse me, subject to paragraph shall not be entitled to attorney's fees and costs if the cause of action is brought to pursuant to section 6259, 11130, 11130.3. Look, I'm not going to read all those government codes, but nothing in this paragraph shall be construed to prevent a prevailing defendant from recovering attorney's fees and costs pursuant to subdivision. Now, like I said, this is probably her best bet, is to try to file an anti-slap right off the bat and see if that. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, truthfully, because of what we already know. What she's already put out there. I don't think that that an anti-slap is going to help her. I really don't. I think there's enough. I think there's enough to prove damages. I think there's enough to prove malice. That's just me. But this is like her best bet, right? Because if not, what's going to end up happening is she's going to have to out the other people that wanted to remain anonymous in this. You know what I mean? Unless she's going to foot the bill for them, which I doubt it. I think if push comes to shove, Jisu's going to look out for Jisu. I don't think she's going to try to protect these girls' identities in order to in order to die on that hill. I don't think she's going to do that. I mean, maybe she will, but I don't think she's going to do that. So we're going to get into the document here now. So it says, plaintiff Gonzalo Barrios hereby alleges as follows. 1, Barrios is a resident of Los Angeles County. Defendant Jacqueline Cho or defendant is a resident of Los Angeles County. The defendants named herein as does 1 through 10 inclusive are unknown to Barrios, who therefore sues such doe defendants by such fictitious names pursuant to section 474 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Barrios is informed, believes, and therein alleges that each fictitiously named doe defendants is in some manner, means, or degree responsible for the events and happenings herein alleged. Barrios will amend this complaint to assert the true names and capacities of the fictitiously designated doe defendants when the same have been ascertained. So what does that mean? That means he gonna get those names. You know what I mean? Because he's suing all of them. He's suing. He plans to sue all the people involved in this conspiracy against him. Okay, he's gonna get those names. So either she's gonna give up those names, right, willingly, or she's gonna try to die on that hill. You know what I mean? To try to protect them, right? To make herself look good in the public eye, right? That's my interpretation of that. And I believe that will also include Katie, because for all intents and purposes, all we know about Katie is that's this person named Katie. That's a pseudonym. That's not actually the real name. So she is a Jane Doe. So for anybody saying, oh, well, he didn't specifically talk about going after Katie. Oh, I believe this includes Katie as well, because Katie is essentially a Jane Doe. Nobody knows who she really is. All we know is that she's a person that identifies as Katie. We don't even know if that's her actual name. You know what I mean? That could have just been the online name that she was going as. Again, it's been claimed that that's a pseudonym for her. So, he's going to try to find out who that is. And this is all included in that. As far as, the way I'm interpreting this, he's going to find out who all these people are, all these people that have made these claims against him, all these anonymous people. So it says here, Barrios is informed, believes, and therein alleges that each defendant, whether expressly or fictitiously named, in addition to acting for itself, himself, herself, or themselves, and on its, his, her, or their individual behalf, was at all times herein mentioned the principal, agent, employee, partner, joint venturer, co-conspirator, representative, or alter ego of some or all of the other cross defendants, and at all times herein mentioned committed such acts or omissions within the course and scope of such agency, servitude, employment, partnership, joint venture, conspiracy, representation, or alter ego relationship, with the full knowledge, consent, authority, and or ramification of some or all of the other defendants. Okay, so general allegations. Prior to the events outlined in this complaint, Barrios was a successful online gamer with lucrative contracts and promising career ahead of him. In July 2020, a document Cho drafted was published and circulated throughout numerous social media outlets, including .esports, Kotaku, ZeRo, and ESPN. That document included multiple falsehoods and outright defamatory claims against Barrios and others. This directly resulted in the termination of Barrios' Twitch account, his partnership with organizations Tempo Storm and Facebook Gaming, along with the irreparable damage done to his reputation. The online statements by Cho included a July 5th, 2020 tweet entitled "The Truth About ZeRo, Katie, and Sky," with a link to a longer document. The defamatory statements by Cho included the following. So this is where we get into all the stuff here, but this is important up here real quick. Let me direct you to this stuff up here. So initially it was thought that ZeRo himself was essentially canceling himself, right? When he said, hey, it's all true. That whole thing with IC was true. This, that, or the other. Everything is true in general. I'm going to go ahead and cancel myself now. Don't feel bad for me. It's over, right? So my understanding now is that it seems like they already were in contact with him, right? Facebook, Tempo Storm, all these, all the business arrangements he had, the partnerships and stuff. They probably told him, hey man, we got to distance ourselves from you. We can't associate with you anymore. So we're going to have to cut ties with you. You know what I mean? And then the very next day, it seems like ZeRo said, oh, you know what? I'm going to cancel myself, even though the truth of the matter is probably the opposite. They had already kind of told him behind the scenes that they were done, that their business partnership, their business association was done and over with because of these claims. So, and that's something that we speculated on yesterday. And it seems like that's probably what really happened. So we're going to get into the defamatory statements right now. So defamatory statement number 1, the lie about difference in age. In a tweet posted on July 3rd, 2020 at 2:49 a.m. Pacific time on the Twitter account Jisu Artist, Cho stated that Barrios started dating his girlfriend Vanessa when she was 15 and Barrios was 20, a 5-year age difference. This statement was demonstrably false. Vanessa's birthday is in November 1997 and his is in April 1995. Although Cho attempted to later retract the statement, the damage was done to Barrios. Accusing a person in the gaming industry of having inappropriate contact with a minor constitutes liable per se, because such an accusation tends to injure him in his profession. And the tweet remains online today. Oh no, Jisu. You would have thought that she would have gotten rid of it. See, that's the thing, right? The fact that she was incorrect, right? Think about how stupid that is. How dumb do you have to be? You get it wrong. You realize that you got it wrong, okay? You're just like, oh shit, I got it wrong. But you still leave the fucking tweet up anyways. What an idiot. What an absolute idiot. Okay, so then we have the defamatory statement number 2, the lie about consistent physical abuse. In the document posted on July 5th, 2020 via Twitter and bit.ly, Cho alleged consistent physical abuse of Vanessa by Barrios. This allegation is also false. Barrios has never abused Vanessa. This false statement also constitutes libel per se, because accusing someone of criminal activity, domestic violence, tends to injure him in his profession. So again, another unsubstantiated claim by Jisu, right? Another libelous claim, all right? Defamatory statement number 3, the lie about flying minors. I guess they meant flying in minors for sexual purposes. In a tweet by Cho posted on April 28th, 2021 via Twitter on the account Jisu SSBM, Cho accused Barrios essentially of being a pedophile. And we are just conveniently forgetting that he literally asked a 14-year-old knowingly to send pictures of herself masturbating with ice cubes and offered to fly another minor out to do that in a hotel for him. So what are they referring to here? Well, let me show you. I'm going to show you that right now because she still has it up. She still has it up. That's how you know she hasn't been in contact with the lawyer yet, because a lot of this stuff she still has up. Okay, so let's go here. This is what they're referring to, right? It started with this thread. I've been getting the threads here and on my personal FB. First off, F off. All of you who think I would do this for clout, it literally took a year off to process this while I could have turned a blind eye and advanced my career. Secondly, ZeRo, you basically played dumb and said nothing using your girlfriend you started dating when she was 15 and you were 20 as an alibi, and holding my kindness to you over my head doesn't excuse the aberrant things I remember, even if you conveniently forgot. So this is, again, a lie, right? She never even bothered to delete it. This is right there. This is there right now. You could go to her Twitter and you'll see it right now. Now, will it remain up after she actually retains legal counsel? Probably not. Maybe not. It's a little too late though, because she can't hide any of this stuff. This is all stuff that you know has already been archived. She won't be able to walk back any of it, you know? Then you see her. Thirdly, Katie Twitlonger, which again, this account by the person alleging to be Katie was created around the time that the claims came out. It was created specifically in July. Okay, wants to remain anonymous and only trusted me to come forward with her story after I made my claims. She wanted me to be the one to share them, and I promised her that I would make sure no one comes to attack her. So we have here, seriously, wake the F up. The signs are all there. Stop believing in people who just forgot, tried to silence, or played ignorant this entire time. It's hard enough to come forward, let alone having to do so in front of a mob of angry, ignorant fans. So interesting, right? She's going to give her up. I have no doubt that she's going to give her up. Like I said, unless she really wants to die on that hill, she's going to give up whoever this Katie person is, to save herself, or an attempt to possibly save herself, which is not. I don't think it's going to matter one way or the other. You know what I mean? Whether she tries to, she could try to take a moral grandstand and say, no, I'm not going to out her. You know, I'll fall on my sword for her. She could end up doing that. It won't help her though either way. She might as well just give it up. So let me go to the next tweet, the one I actually wanted to show you guys in regards to this. So this is the one, I believe. Yeah, here we go. This is the one, I think, right here. All right, just bear with me one moment. Trying to find the tweet. I think this is it. All right, bear with me, folks. Let's see. Okay, I can't find that tweet right now. The links they posted aren't there, but let's go back. We'll just go back and go over the document, though. Here we are. So we see here, Cho prefaced the statement with a publicly available document on Google Documents with, what I didn't expect was another victim to speak up about ZeRo having asked her to do the same things while she was underage, and talk about possibly flying over and meeting her at a hotel in person. Cho's accusation that Barrios sought to fly a minor to meet in a hotel for sexual gratification is false and defamation per se. And as we know, I believe ZeRo actually showed proof that this was false in the video that the technicals made. He had shown proof to counteract this argument. So again, another instance, and that always seems to be the go-to, right? When people are accused of these misdeeds publicly, there's always somebody that says, "Oh yeah, hey, he tried to do that to me too." You know what I mean? He tried to have me do that nasty thing as well. They almost always universally do that. So we'll continue on here. Defamatory statement number 4. The lie about showing Cho Craigslist ads of sex workers and hentai. On July 2nd, 2020, Cho posted on Twitter at the account Jisu Artist a false statement that Barrios showed Cho explicit Craigslist ads of sex workers. Cho said, "You were showing me explicit Craigslist ads of sex workers and hentai on the big screen and constantly harassing me at the Sky House when I was 15. Cho's birthday is April 3rd, 1998. Cho was 16 at the time. Cho claimed this happened at the Sky House in July 2014. It is well known that Craigslist had banned their adult services category in 2010. This would make it impossible for Barrios to have shown Cho's sex worker ads on Craigslist on or after 2010. Other people living in the house at the time that allegedly happened have since called Cho's accounts into question, accusing Barrios of showing minor sex worker ads constitutes libel per se. Now, we got to also remember, right? Technicals interviewed, I think it was 4 people that had lived at the Sky House around that time, and they claimed they had no idea what she was talking about, right? They don't recall this ever taking place, any of this stuff ever taking place at the Sky House. Now, is it in the realm of possibility that they could just be, lying? Sure. But at least, again, we have some people's accounts of it. And I'm pretty sure, more than likely, ZeRo's attorneys are going to get signed affidavits from all of them claiming as such. They might even be able to get affidavits from more of the people that were living in the house at that time. But we'll have to wait and see on that. But at least to the people that initially had made the claim, hey, look, I don't recall that ever happening. I think it's pretty safe to say they'll probably get at least those 4 signed affidavits, right? So let's continue on here. Okay, as a direct and proximate result of Cho's false claims, Barrios has incurred economic and non-economic damages. Barrios previously had a lucrative contract with Facebook Gaming. Facebook canceled that contract the same day Cho released her document. The Truth About ZeRo, Katie, and Sky, Tempo Storm, and professional esports team also released Barrios' contract as a result of Cho's false statements. So this is the link to the Google Doc. This is, I believe, another link. This is the link to another, to the tweet in question where the claim was being made. So it says Barrios lost sponsorships and the opportunity to compete in esports. Barrios estimates his damages to fall well above $2 million. Now, mind you, he wasn't actively competing in any, he wasn't actively going to tournaments to compete, I believe, but he was still competing, I think, in an online capacity, but not more in a casual capacity. But because he had already retired, but that obviously closed this whole situation. Absolutely closed the door on him going back. It absolutely closed the door on him ever being able to go back. I mean, maybe in time he'll be allowed back, depending on how things go here in court. Maybe not. Maybe promoters, or I should say TOs, will probably be like, you know what, I don't want to take a chance on this guy, so I'm not going to allow him back, and that's fine. They don't have to, however they want to run their businesses, they can. But this essentially closes that door for him. You have to think that he'll probably never be able to compete on a big stage ever again. You know what I mean? It's possible he could, but I doubt it. I doubt that he'll ever be allowed back to say like Evo or a big or a big another big tournament like DreamHack or anything like that. I doubt he'll be allowed back at any of those. So on April 6, 2020, the Judicial Council enacted Emergency Rule 9 of the California Rules of Court, Appendix 1, Emergency Rule 9, which provides that notwithstanding any other law, the statutes of limitation and repose for civil causes of action that exceed 180 days are told from April 6, 2020 until October 1st, 2020. So it says, Barrios incorporates by reference and realleges here in paragraphs 1 through 11 above, defendant has made false statements of fact about Barrios. Those false statements of fact are set forth in paragraph 6 through 11 above. The foregoing statements were false. Barrios did not date an underage girl, did not abuse Vanessa, did not fly minors in an airplane for sexual purposes, and did not show minors pornography. The foregoing statements tend to injure Barrios in his profession, where being accused of a crime or lying can have profound consequences to employment. And yeah, especially because remember what we said before, right? We've talked about this before. The Super Smash Brothers community specifically, right, is one where you have the most eclectic group of people. It's the one of all the different, in FGC, I'm not saying that there's not kids that play other games in the FGC, right? And by FGC, I mean fighting game community. I'm sure there are kids that play, Street Fighter, Tekken, and they compete in those games as well. But by and large, the amount of kids that participate in Smash Brothers is significantly higher than those other games. With games like Street Fighter, with games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, with games like Tekken, you really see just an older teen to adult base competing in those games more than you do kids. Whereas, like I said, Super Smash Brothers, you'll see kids as young as I've seen kids as young as 8 years old competing in Super Smash Brothers tourneys, and that goes all the way up into adulthood. So with something like this, right, especially consider, and mind you, the Super Smash Brothers community considers themselves apart from the standard FGC, right? They consider themselves kind of a league of their own because it's not the traditional style of a fighting game. So you have a space that he's a part of that, again, where his main source of revenue came from, okay, that he will probably, at least on a public scale, and I mean, like going to events and stuff like that, he'll probably never be able to go to any of those events again and compete for a good chunk of money. The bans that they have in place will probably stay in place regardless of the outcome of this lawsuit. Now, it's not to say that they might not consider the outcome, right? Depending on if he wins, depending on what is proven, if his lawyers are able to prove unequivocally in court that everything 100% was false, maybe, just maybe, they'll consider lifting his ban and allowing him back in. But there's also that chance that because of just the allegations, because again, that's all it takes these days. Think about this for a moment, okay? These allegations will always persist. It's something that is always, unfortunately, going to follow him, regardless of whether or not he wins in court, right? Because there's still going to be a contingent of people that no matter what, even if you show them the proof that he didn't do any of this stuff, they're just going to be like, nah, he did it. And that's it. They're just going to say, hey, nah, he did it. He did it. I don't care. I don't care what you say. I believe he did it. And that's it. That's, perception is reality to people. And if that's their perception on it, that's how it's going to be. I mean, there's still people, look, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, right? That whole situation. Johnny Depp has lost roles for movies because of these allegations against him. Okay? When all the proof that has been shared publicly points to Amber Heard really being the crappy one in the situation, being the guilty one in the situation. But it's cost Johnny Depp millions. It's cost him millions. And it's something that there's always going to be that little asterisk next to his name. Like, people don't realize how damaging accusations like this are to people. They're always going to follow them around. There's always going to be that little cloud of suspicion hanging over them, over things like this. They'll never be able to shake it. And that's the unfortunate truth about situations like this. It sucks. It'd be a small victory, and I'm sure it'll help. It will help his public image if he's able to win this. But make no mistake, it will never, ever, ever be the same for him. It just won't. It just won't. So let's continue on here. What else? Let's just say. The foregoing statements tend to injure Barrios in his profession, where being accused of a crime or lying can have profound consequences to employment. The foregoing statements were made on social media and several media websites, including .esports, Kotaku, ZeRo, and ESPN, to third parties, and were understood to refer to Barrios. Barrios is informed, believes, and therein alleges that defendant made these statements knowing they were not true or without using reasonable care to determine the truth or falsity of these statements. The source of Barrios' information and belief chose partial retraction of one or more items and her leaving statements online despite knowing they are now false. And that's something, that right there, this is something that is, she can't refute that. You know what I mean? Her lawyers are not going to be able to refute it either, because there's all these statements are still there. Even the shit that she got wrong, she decided to leave up like a fucking idiot. She left it up. She didn't retract it. She didn't, you know what I mean? Completely. She might have said, oopsie. Oh, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Still left the false shit up, which that's the stuff that got the most traction first. Because that's how it is in situations like this. When people, and this is something that media does too, right? When they get some shit wrong, right? People barely pay attention to the correction after the fact. It's the most incendiary stuff beforehand that they latch onto without giving anything else a second glance. And like I said, she left that stuff up. So then we have the second cause of action. Oh, well, let me finish this last part here. Let me go up here. Let's see. It says here, as a direct and proximate result of defendant's false statements, the professional reputation of Barrios has been damaged, and he has suffered shame, mortification, and emotional distress. In committing the acts described in this complaint, defendant was guilty of oppression, fraud, or malice in that they were aware of the grievous harm to Barrios' career that would be inflicted based on the comments. As a result, Barrios is entitled to an award of exemplary or punitive damages. Okay? And again, to go back for a second here, right? Jisu was making the rounds, right? She went to all these different live streams where she talked to all these different journalists, told the story, and sold the story and seemed to profit from it, right? Her stock rose a little bit in regards to her public profile and her own business. In her own business ventures as well. So for her, she's out there telling people, and the other thing too, the fact that she was gloating about a lot of this shit and seemingly had no remorse. Remember when she went at one of her own friends and shamed her for, hey, why are you talking to ZeRo, this, that, or the other? She's like, hey, I don't want the guy to kill himself. You know what I mean? And remember when she was like, hey, take down that post, this is, who cares about him offing himself? You know what I mean? It's you're hurting these women's stories by, well-wishing him and hoping that he doesn't, that he doesn't off himself, that kind of stuff. It looks malicious, not just from a legal standpoint, but just, from just a human standpoint. So we have here the second cause of action, right? It's a second cause of action for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Barrios incorporates by reference and realleges here in paragraphs 1 through 11 above. Defendant's conduct has caused Barrios to suffer severe emotional distress. Defendant's conduct was extreme and outrageous when she accused him of criminal and immoral actions. It says, as a direct and proximate result of defendant's conduct, Barrios has been damaged and he has suffered emotional distress. In committing the acts described in this complaint, defendant was guilty of oppression, fraud, or malice in that she was aware of the grievous harm to Barrios' career and that would be inflicted based on the comments. As a result, Barrios is entitled to an award of exemplary and punitive damages. And then here we have the prayer of relief. And it says, wherefore Barrios prays for judgment against defendant as follows: compensatory damages according to proof at trial, punitive damages, and such other and different relief as the court may deem just and proper. And it says dated November 19th, 2021. And this is his lawyer who signed it right here. So that's it. It's on. It is on. And that's the entire document. But yeah, look, there's no way of knowing which way these, which way the court is going to side. Obviously, I think Jisu's best bet is to try to just from the jump file an anti-slap. I don't think it'll go her way though, because of how poorly she decided to act publicly, and the fact that she left these defamatory statements up that one can only, I'm sure they will, that his lawyers will argue have continued to do damage to his reputation and his bottom line. You know what I mean? And as far as the whole emotional distress thing, I think that's the fact that he tried to off himself will lend credibility to that argument. So this is going to be very interesting to see how all this plays out. Which court, Stan says, which court was the document filed? It was filed in California, in LA County, I believe. It was filed. Actually, Stan says, a little bit about how some of this stuff works. Did you want to hop on here real quick and, give some knowledge to the people? You want me to send you a link to hop in here real quick, or I don't know if you're busy, but maybe you could share a couple of things that you know. But yeah, as far as I know, it's filed in LA County because they both live in California. I think he lives at the time that he tried to self-delete. I believe he lived in Orlando County, but I'm not sure. Here, I'm gonna have Stan come on real quick because Stan's familiar with some of this stuff because he had to deal with some of this nonsense regarding the Vic Mignogna stuff that happened about 2 years ago now. So I'm going to send Stan here a link to hop in and hang out with us here for a little bit and explain what he knows regarding this stuff and anti-slap. All right, I sent you the link, Stan. So whenever you want to hop on in here. Toshiro says she should cancel herself. I don't think she'll need to because look, at this point, they'll judge what happens in the public space, right? If she loses in court, right, even though it's not like a criminal case, a civil case, right, that, people will look at that and, they'll say, well, hey, you lost in court, so you must have been lying. And just because things go to court, it doesn't mean that that people are lying about stuff, right? When things go to court. Oh, it's here, Stan, right now. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, John. How you doing, bud?
Doing good.
Yeah, that was really interesting. When you were talking about it yesterday, I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And filing the case, I was wondering on jurisdiction and what kind of case he was going to file. So obviously, it's going to be defamation, and now it's filed in California. I guess he's living in California now.
Yeah, he was living in California at the time that he had tried to harm himself. He was in I believe Orlando County, California, or Orland. Is it Orland or Orlando County in California? I don't know if he's in LA County now, but I believe that the case has been filed in LA County. That's my understanding from
usually you want to tie it to where the defendant is going to be or the person you're suing is residing in. Because that's you want a jurisdiction. Then it'd be a case of, is it in federal court, supreme? It's state courts. So
yeah, it says Superior Court of the State of California, County of Los Angeles, Central District.
Yeah.
So, and it's defamation and complaint for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I
So
think I think he's got right now. It looks like his lawyers made a good case for defamation, and Jisu has made it very easy.
yeah, super easy.
Still,
Well, the thing is, yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like in her own tweet yesterday, saying that he was suing her, she still was defaming him, and I'm just like,
oh
oh,
yeah,
you're so dumb. Why would you tweet that?
why would
Why?
you include that? And so hopefully his lawyer is captured everything, and the fact that she's even revised it, and is still defaming him.
Yes, yes, it's great, and she hasn't taken it down at all. That's what I'm saying. Like when I saw her, when I saw this, I'm like, oh no, she hasn't talked to a lawyer. She has not talked to a lawyer
That's what
yet.
I mentioned in my comment to you yesterday,
Yeah,
which you didn't get to see, but well, actually you did see it, and
yeah,
her showing up to court without a lawyer, just like Chrissy did against Quentin,
yeah.
and oh yeah, she got BTO big time.
Yeah, and that's another situation. Can you explain that situation for people who don't know? If for those of you that don't know, when he's referring to Quentin Flynn, the voice of Raiden from the Metal Gear Solid games.
Oh yeah, he took her to court, and she showed up with her parents and no lawyer, and so it was she represented herself in the court case, and Quentin was charging her with basically a restraining order, not to contact him and stuff like that, and not to further contact him. And now she's being charged with a felony, I think, in the state of Indiana. I think is where, yeah, the state of Indiana. So of breaking that court order, and this was the state that went after her, not Quentin. Quentin won his judgment against Christie
Yeah,
um, for her harassment and stalking and stuff like that. And but then the state went after her, and she's supposed to be this month supposed to be charged in court. I'm
oh
not
boy.
sure when. I think it's the 14th. She's supposed to appear in court
Mm.
for excuse me, for her to either. I think she pled. I think she put in a plea deal,
Yeah,
and so she might be get find out what her fate is, and she now has a lawyer.
yeah. There you go. Fuck around and find out. That's what these people don't realize. Balzet says CVM popping up because his situation is the perfect example of false accusations and misidentification. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, in this situation, like I said, with ZeRo, I understand why people why some people are like, oh, he admitted to it and stuff like that. But the problem there's no way of knowing what things are true and what things are false because he had already again admitted to things prior to that he then walked back, and one of those things was proven to be false. The other thing, again, you had accounts, you had testimony from people who lived in the house that said, "Yeah, I don't recall that ever happening." The stuff that Jisu was claiming, with the with the
Right.
um uh, with the Craigslist ads and with the hentai stuff, they're like, "Yeah, I don't recall that ever happening." And I was
Yeah.
living at the house around that time, and I don't recall that ever happening. But ZeRo had admitted to it, then he walked it back. So again, a lot of people were hung up on the whole Ice Cube thing because he admitted to it, and he said, "I admit to whatever she says in general," which again was another instance where he
Well, it could
was,
be,
yeah,
like he could have been under, mental distress after losing all his contracts, and
yeah, which is what his wife was actually saying. She was saying that he was contemplating suicide around that time. Now he didn't attempt around that time, but he was talking about it when he issued that apology and stuff. And I guess she had stopped him. But then
mhm.
earlier this year, he did in fact attempt to take his own life back in March. So
Yeah,
there's like I said, people were thinking, oh, that's an excuse and stuff like that. Well, I mean, I don't know if right I mean, you could say, I guess you could try to argue it's an excuse, but it seemed like he was very, you know, seemed like he was very willing to follow through with it at some point. So, is it
Yeah,
still
when
an
you feel
excuse
like
at that
there's
point?
nothing else left to do, you're. I mean, pretty much, if he wins his case, he's still, just like Quentin. Quentin still has people attacking him, just like even with Vic.
Yeah,
There's people still attacking him, and Vic's case is still ongoing. Quentin's case is done,
yeah.
but yet there's still people out there attacking them. So
Yeah, that's what sucks about this stuff is that, like I was saying before, it follows people no matter what, regardless of how the outcome is going to be in court. It's something that's always going to follow them.
yeah, but this kind of thing, I mean, ZeRo, I mean, it's going to cost ZeRo money. It's
Yeah,
costing them money anyway. But this is kind of the thing that needs to be done.
yeah,
These people uh, need to start to fear for their life that they're going to be sued.
yeah,
For the crap they pull, the stuff they say, thinking they can just basically ruin anybody's life and say whatever bullshit.
yeah. No, it is not because again, there's people that continue to do this stuff where they instead of just going, report it to the police. You know, what I mean, the thing is, these people they always almost always take it to the internet first instead of just reporting stuff to the police. Like I said, if it's an issue where they've exhausted every other potential
I know
avenue for
the
recourse.
court of public opinion is so much easier to do
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there's no repercussions. Thinking, oh, I'm an anonymous face on the internet and I won't get in trouble for making up shit. Whereas if I go to the police first and I find out that they find out that I made up a complete story that, oh, I might be charged with a crime.
Yeah, exactly. And people need to realize, okay, so this is, I guess this, I had missed this one. This is actually a tweet that she put earlier. I'm almost certain these are trolls just reporting the page. Please look at this double standard. I'm going to edit my page anyways. I'll let you guys know when it's back up. This is beyond infuriating. So she had, I guess, gotten this letter or this email from Trust and Safety at GoFundMe. Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you for updating the fundraiser title and replying. Updating the fundraiser title and replying to our message. See, I knew that was going to be an issue. Due to reports we have received, we do require that you remove all personal identifiable information from the fundraiser, which includes names of other parties involved. This includes not only the title, but the body of the fundraiser itself. So, she got in trouble for that. But the thing is, see, had she talked to a lawyer to begin with, they would have told her to not do that. So I don't know if she's talking about a double standard here because I guess she's citing this as an example. And this, I'm looking at this. I'm saying help Megan Ruiz with legal fees. I don't see anything wrong with that, unless she's just using this as a template for what she was trying to do. But she's saying I'm being sued by Chris Shaper for defamation, slander per se. Go ahead.
That's true. But the title. I mean, if she looked at the title, she would realize that what she has currently now does not even look anything remotely close to that. It's still she's still defaming the person.
Yeah.
Using the title of an article as her cover. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that's still the same thing.
Yeah. It's just well, even though that's I guess they allowed that because it's a little bit more generalized. But still, it's still bad. Yeah. But because here, let me go to her GoFundMe now. You see, like her GoFundMe right now. It's this because she updated it, and it's still it's not good. Yeah. So it doesn't specifically say ZeRo, but obviously he's one of the people that's involved in this article. He's one of the subjects of the article. So let me go back to it here.
Yeah, you're showing all your contacts.
Yeah. So this is right here. This is the title from the Kotaku article, and it's funny. I think it's funny that she scribbled out the name of the person who wrote it, and it's just like people are going to be able to find it. I mean, it's not it's like it matters. I mean, not that anybody should hit any of these people up. I'm just saying, and she didn't. It seems like she made a few minimal changes to what it said here. I believe she, if I remember correctly, in here, she, I think, had specifically mentioned ZeRo directly. In this, and I think she changed it. If I remember correct, I'd have to go
Wow.
back and watch the
She's
stream from yesterday.
she's tagging it as accidents and emergencies.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And bro, this is the funny thing that I thought that I saw this yesterday. If you click on the source here, she still has herself as the source for you know, hold on. Let me show you this. When you click on that, this is where it takes you. And I showed this yesterday on stream. It takes you to her own Twitter thread, which I was like, oh no, she's sourcing herself. Right here, see? And you see right here, you guys might be rolling your eyes at all this drama, but I've been in the Smash community since I was 15, and the amount of blatant thirst and pedophilia from this loser circle jerk just from getting the result in a kid's party game is the most cesspool shit I've ever seen. And this is her little tirade. I think this was all before she had dropped her. Yeah, I believe it was all before she dropped her little document, if I remember correctly, and then went off on the tirade and then started making a bunch of different unsubstantiated claims. So it's just it's bad. Like I know that defamation is something that's pretty hard to prove in court. But I think that he might actually have a pretty strong case, considering that she's left a lot of the stuff up. To me, it appears legally and otherwise. I think they'll be able to prove malice. It obviously, I think they will be able to prove damages because of the fact that he did lose his deals. Because that's the other thing too that I didn't know of initially was I saw he had put out his statement after the fact saying that hey, I'm going to cancel myself and all that stuff. But apparently he had already lost all those partnerships. He had lost his Facebook partnership, and Tempo Storm said, hey, we're dropping you. So I'm sure he's going to have all those communications. His lawyers got him, and they're going to show him in court because after that, is when he said like, "Oh, I'm sorry for everything I did, and I'm just going to cancel myself." So, it's I think it's solid. I mean, there's no way to know for sure, but I think he's got a solid case, and I hope something will be able to, all this stuff will be able to be proven in court. I think regarding the Jane Does and stuff like that, I don't think that she's going to fall on her sword with that. She might. I think she might try to fall on her sword to protect their identity, but it's not like her ZeRo's lawyers aren't going to be able to find out anyways. But I think they're going to put it on her to kind of to out them, because that's what I take away from this. You tell me if I'm wrong here, Stan, because what he says here in this, let me go back to his document real quick. But it seems like that's what he's going for here, because it says here, parties, Barrios is resident of Los Angeles County. Defendant Jacqueline Cho, or defendant, is resident of Los Angeles County. The defendants named herein as Does 1 through 10, inclusive, are unknown to Barrios, who therefore sues such Doe defendants by such fictitious names pursuant to Section 474 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Barrios is informed, believes, and thereon alleges that each fictitiously named Doe defendant is in some manner, means, or degree responsible for the events and happenings herein alleged. Barrios will amend this complaint to assert the true names and capacities of the fictitiously designated Doe defendants when the same have been ascertained. So to me,
I think what you're about to say is that during discovery with the other two individuals above, can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Chloe and Barrios.
Yeah. ZeRo and Jisu.
Yep. So that they'll find out through production the names and defendants of the other people if they know who they are.
Yeah, because it's not just him suing Jisu. It says right here, see, versus and Does 1 through 10 inclusive defendants. So it's just like, he's not just suing Jisu. That's why I think, people that are saying, oh, he didn't mention Katie specifically. Well, Katie, as we know, is a pseudonym. So I'm sure she's included as one of the does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nobody knows the last name.
No, they haven't listed it in their documents. So this first document will probably, when he starts filing other stuff, his lawyer starts filing other stuff in discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They'll amend to show who the names are. Like you'll start to see names appear and stuff like that. So
Yep.
So let me ask you this, Stan. Do you think how far do you think this will go? Do you think there'll be do you think there'll be a hearing, then depositions, or do you think there'll be depositions before a hearing? How do you think this will play out?
Well, if Jacqueline was smart, she would settle
immediately, right? It's like
immediately. Otherwise, I don't know if California has the anti-SLAPP.
Yeah, they do have anti-SLAPP, but I don't think it's going to apply in this particular instance because I don't think they'll be able to prove that ZeRo's claims are frivolous at all. I don't think they'll be able to show anything to prove that any of what he's bringing forth is frivolous. So I don't think they'll win on anti-SLAPP if they do decide to do that. I mean, I would think that would be the first smart thing for them to try.
Here's the thing is if they don't settle, then the other recourse is to file their paperwork and limit any kind of discovery whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then the case will go forward from there. And pray that the judge doesn't say, we're gonna he has merit, and we're gonna go to full trial.
Oh,
so that's there's a lot of things in play here. So, but the smart thing, as Nick Rekieta would say, settle.
Yes.
You can't afford this. No matter if you got you got fundraising. A fundraiser, but you're like what 7,000, almost 8,000 that she's raised.
Yeah, I believe. Let me see. Let me go back to her GoFundMe real quick and see how much she's raised. Okay, so it looks like she has raised about 7,290 of a $120,000 goal.
Yeah.
So,
and she better be aware of GoFundMe's terms of services, because if she uses that money for anything else than what she's stating, she's in trouble. Yeah. She could lose that account even for unlike some other people we know that used it for certain things, like, oh, I want to sue Yellow Flash, and ended up going to Disneyland.
We're not going on vacation. Yeah.
Going on vacation, going to, what was it? San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yeah. Ended up using the money for their own, pleasure instead of, what they had intended. But yeah, it is what it is, I think what goes around comes around. So we'll wait and see what happens there. But this, to me, I think he has a strong case. But then again, I don't know. I don't know how the laws are in California and how anti-SLAPP will play into it. But I don't think she'll be able to get it dismissed on anti-SLAPP. I think there's just way too much out there that proves malicious intent that can't be overlooked. So, but that's just me. That's just my layman's perspective of it. So,
which is a good read.
Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'm really interested to see how quickly it is that she ends up selling out these girls, if she does at all. Because, like I said, she'll either be like, She'll stop. She'll give up the names willingly, or she'll try to drag it out in order to virtue signal and moralize online and be like, I'm gonna fall on my sword defending these other girls because I don't want.
She can do that online, and then on the flip side, sell them out without even.
Yeah, pretty
without
much.
even saying anything. Virtue signal all you want, but then.
Yeah. What Bowsett says here, anti-SLAPP laws are intended to prevent people from using courts and potential threats of a lawsuit to intimidate people who are exercising their First Amendment rights. That's pretty much it.
That's true, but given what she said, I don't think so.
Yeah,
there's a limit.
Yeah, exactly. Her unfortunately, her First Amendment rights don't include defamation. So that's one thing. You don't get to. You get to freely defame people like that with the stuff that she has said. So without consequence. I mean, obviously they're going to use ZeRo being a public figure as an argument.
Well, that they're going to have to prove that burden. Because I think he's probably in the same boat with Vic, even though Vic is more recognizable than. Well, Vic is recognizable within his own community, and ZeRo would be exactly the same and recognizable in his community.
Exactly.
But overall, so.
Yeah. Let me see. What if Leffen gets slapped with a lawsuit the moment he flies to the USA? Leffen, I believe, lives in Sweden. So the thing is, that's going to be a little bit more hairy because he lives in a different country. So I don't think he's worried. ZeRo's worried about what he can take care of right now, and Jisu would be the one for him to target first because she's the one that perpetuated a lot of these lies. So I mean, Leffen also did after the fact, but he's not the one that started this. He continued to perpetuate a lot of her lies himself. But he
speak of the devil, it's Vic. Hang on, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine. Leffen continued to perpetuate a lot of these lies after the fact. So the thing is, could he be on the hook? Maybe. I don't know how that's going to work out because again, he lives. I believe Leffen lives in Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not to say that he can't be sued. He most certainly can, but I just don't know how much more that's going to cost ZeRo. What I would assume that ZeRo is going to file over here because he's not going to file something to go to Sweden to fight it over in court over there. He's gonna go where he feels comfortable, and that would be over here. Now, if Leffen, I should say not Leffen, if Leffen lived here at the time, if he ever lived here at any point in time where he perpetuated any of these, these libelous things, maybe that'll factor into stuff. But I really don't know. As far as that goes, that's a little bit trickier because again, like I said, it's something that, you're talking about.
Okay.
Hey, welcome back, Stan. Yeah, you're talking about a guy in another country, and as far as that goes, I would think that if ZeRo is going to file something, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Stan, he would probably file for something here, right, in the States. I don't think he would try to file for something under Swedish law.
That's entirely a whole another can of worms.
Or I should say under Swedish jurisdiction.
Yeah, under Swedish jurisdiction, but it'd be too much hassle. You go after who you can within this United States using the court system, and
exactly.
Who knows? Does 1 through 10 could be in LA. I mean, in California or another state, and and that opens other problems.
Exactly.
You have to get a lawyer within those states where they reside.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. That's the other thing. Yeah, different jurisdictions and things like that. I think he's going to handle what he can. I think him handling Jisu anyways, right? If he's able to win with the whole Jisu thing, he kind of by extension also discredits Leffen. You know what I mean? I think that hurts Leffen too. That's going to hurt Leffen's public image a little bit too. I mean, it might not hurt him financially as much as it'll hurt Jisu, right? If he ends up getting if he's able to get any recover any damages and stuff, but it'll definitely, I think, hurt him by association to a certain degree for perpetuating those lies. It'll show that he was full of shit too. So that'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure on the details, but I guess we'll have to wait and see as more things get filed. I'm sure that technicals and people that are I'm going to be trying to follow this as best I can, seeing what updates there are, and I'm sure that people like Jacob Wolf is going to be following it as well, even though dude's kind of a hack. I'm sure he's going to be following any kind of proceedings. It's pretty clear to me. Jisu probably tipped him off about what was happening because she's one of the first people that she went to when she decided to go tell, make the rounds and tell these stories. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure, like I said, people are going to have their fingers on the pulse of this, but we'll go ahead and take questions from the chat, and then we'll go ahead and close out the stream here in about 10 minutes. So what would you guys like to ask there in the chat? So, I saw this one earlier. Morfessa says prosecution attorneys can literally demand for Jisu's DMs on social media with people like Leffen during deposition. She's effing screwed. Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll be able to. That's the thing. Yeah. Once discovery starts, if it gets that far, right, they're going to be able to subpoena all those kind of communications. Anybody that was a co-conspirator of hers as well, they're going to be able to get those communications. So presumably that will include the person known as Katie as well as these other accusers. They'll be able to get those communications from them. So
well, it'll be interesting to find out who the does are.
Yes. What if she deletes the DMs? Requiem, actually, that won't matter if she deletes the DM because if they go and subpoena Twitter, they're going to be able to get them. If she deletes the DMs, it's really not going to matter because the thing is, stuff like that stays on servers and databases for something like 7 years, I believe, is the standard for most companies, social media companies like Twitter, and a lot of those big companies, I think they keep stuff on servers for about 7 years. So even if she deletes the DMs, if they subpoena Twitter directly for those communications, they'll be able to get them, even if she deleted them. So
they would ask her first to provide those DMs willingly first, and if she says I don't have those, then and she says I deleted them or whatnot, then they can go to Twitter and get it. And then, of course, that brings up potentially another charge.
Yes, correct. Yeah, what they said, what Morfessa says here, yeah, they can literally hold her in contempt of court. Possibly, yeah. So, Balza says, subpoenaing Twitter, hopefully it won't be a hassle. That's the biggest snowflake cesspool ever. Yeah, but the thing is, if they get a court order for that, they'll have to comply, and they will. They probably will. That's all in California, so I see no reason for them to. Twitter's not going to be like, no, we're going to protect Jisu. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, oh, you got a court order. They're going to
throw her under the bus.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like, oh, you got a court order and you want our DMs? Here you go. They're not going to put up a fight. They're just going to be, oh, okay.
Well, the court is going to specifically say, exactly who they're not going to show everybody's DMs with her, only the ones associated, that they name. So because we don't know who the does are.
Exactly. See, and that's the thing. Like that's with if those of you that have been following the stuff that I was looking at regarding like Omrecker and that situation with Omrecker and the girls that accused Delirious, Ohm had publicly said things like, he had mentioned about getting discovery, that Delirious wouldn't want discovery on the wouldn't want to go to court because of discovery, because then they would find the communications between him and these girls. Well, that would only happen if those girls were the ones that were either filing a joint lawsuit against him, or one of them was filing a lawsuit against him. That would only work in favor of them, not for Ohm himself, even though Ohm has involved himself with them, unless he was filing a joint lawsuit with them. But let's say if Ohm had decided to file a defamation suit against Delirious, he would not be entitled, as far as I know, he would not be entitled to get any communications between those girls and Delirious, because it has nothing to do with him, and it would have nothing to do with the claims or the suit that he'd be filing against Delirious himself. It would only pertain to just him. That's it. You can't use somebody else's situation for what to file a completely opposite lawsuit against somebody with, at least as far as my understanding of the law goes. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, Stan. But
no,
that's
I think you're on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it. It's like if somebody's suing somebody for something else, you can't, weaponize that to get, other dirt on them that they have with somebody else. That it doesn't work that way, to the best of my knowledge. So
no, you couldn't. So, you could not. It could not be used in court, and you can't. Yeah. And you definitely cannot, broadcast that.
Yeah. So I don't think discovery would bring something like that. So we have Ernesto de Jesus Ruiz Macias. If ZeRo wins on court, should Leffen at least be banned from the Smash community? I mean, people have been banned from from the Smash community. So maybe, potentially, because I mean, you're at that point, you're talking about a guy who literally was complicit in spreading defamation with somebody else that's a part of the community. I would hope that would be some kind of violation of, some code of conduct within these Smash tournaments, right? I would think, or I would hope, because you're literally talking about a guy who perpetuated lies that helped ruin another player's careers, regardless of whether the guy was retired or not. He was a part of that community too, and this guy knowingly and willingly perpetuated lies about him with somebody else. I would hope that would be some kind of violation of their code of conduct. Although I'd have to read what their code of conduct is for each, because I know it changes. It kind of varies from tournament to tournament. They're overall kind of the same. They kind of have the same standards, but I would think that would have to, or I would hope that would be a part of some of their codes of conduct. I would hope so, at least. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, you at least the community would police itself, and
yes,
and particularly if the court favors ZeRo,
yes,
that everybody in the community would know what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. So let me see. Joshua Moses says, do you think ZeRo's lawyers have all the evidence they need to make a solid case, like before she deletes any of the evidence? Yeah, I think they already have enough. See, here's the problem with what Jisu did. Jisu talked a lot. She talked a lot, and she left a lot of stuff up. And the problem is that it's still up. As far as I know, she hasn't really deleted anything to this point. And the thing is, even if she does delete it, there's so many people that have been archiving a lot of the stuff that she says that are going to turn it over to, ZeRo's lawyers. You know what I mean? And not that I'm saying that people have a direct pipeline to ZeRo's lawyers, but it'll get to the appropriate people that will get it back to his legal team. You know what I mean? So even if she starts deleting stuff, it's really not going to help her. I mean, a lot of people have been archiving stuff, and that's usually the best way to hold somebody accountable for stuff, because when you archive stuff, it saves all the metadata. It proves that it was real. It makes it easier too for ZeRo's legal team, because then they don't have to worry about trying to subpoena the stuff from Twitter if for whatever reason she does go on a mass deleting spree. But don't be surprised if she does still attempt to delete stuff after the fact. I think at this point it's a little too late. She's kind of shot herself in the foot. Like I said at the very beginning, and I said it just not too long ago. She also, even after the fact, right? Even after getting the lawsuit, she still publicly defamed the guy, saying that he abused children and that he was a pedophile. Things that, again, it has not been 100% substantiated. That is not fact. So she's already put herself in a really bad spot, I think. Again, you never know how these lawsuits are going to go, but she's not off to a great start. So let me see. So we have Benjamin Castellanos saying he's been banned before, but given the current circumstances with tech calling this out, I highly doubt they'll.
Who is banned?
Ban him over this court case at all. Leffen. Having a little bit of a. I think they meant in regards to Leffen.
Yeah, it was a little hiccup. Yeah.
So let me see. The thing with the Smash code of conduct is that it is arbitrary. Yep, that's true. That is true. Mm-hmm. I've noticed too. So, Requiem says, could the act of her deleting things be used against her in court? Yep. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. 100% it can, because she would be actively deleting evidence. You know what I mean? So I would assume that would either what? That would be not necessarily obstruction, right? But they could hold her in contempt for that, I believe, right, Stan, or no?
Yeah, that would be another contempt. But I'm quite certain that the lawyer has archived the tweets, because he's got it listed in the document, because they have to print them all out, because it has to be in paper form to be filed within the court. So even though he's got the the addresses and stuff, I'm sure they've already archived it.
Yeah, exactly. Morpheus says, I can't wait for her to delete DMs during discovery and dig herself into a bigger hole. What's interesting about that, and again, this is something you correct me if I'm wrong, Stan, I believe that once discovery starts, they tell you, hey, make sure you send everything to Saturday. Don't try to get rid of anything.
I'm quite certain that, because she said she's being sued, so obviously she's gotten something in writing from the court. And within that, it would say, do not leave or delete, preserve tweets and other evidence and stuff like that. Communications, actually. Preserve communications.
Yeah, so if she does that, she will be screwed. And the other thing too is, like I said, she was dumb because she still kept defaming him after the fact. Buenosaur says, did Jisu delete stuff already? Sorry, I just got a hold of the stream. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at that right now. Let's go to Social Blade and see if she's been deleting anything. Because I would assume that she doesn't seem too smart. So I would assume that she would probably start deleting some stuff. So let's check her Social Blade to see, because Social Blade kind of gives you an idea if people are deleting things. So at least, all right, so let's go to her. We're going to go to her. Let's see. This is her Social Blade for Twitter. So we see here tweets. We see -1 here. I don't think that she's really been actively deleting tweets. She's been losing followers, it looks like. It looks like she's been losing some followers, but it doesn't seem like she's been really actively deleting tweets too much. You see this is just one right here, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it pertains to any of this stuff. Now maybe we could go back a little bit further and see if she has, but I don't, it doesn't, at least on the surface, at least recently, it doesn't appear like she's been actively scrubbing her Twitter. But keep an eye on this, because it might change.
How many followers does she have?
Huh?
How many followers?
On this one, she has 67,000 followers. This is her main Twitter. Now we could check her other Twitter though to see if I believe it's called let me see, it's Jisu, I believe SSBM. It's her other one. And we could check that one to see. Yeah, this is her other one. So we could check this one to see. So this is she has almost 3,000 followers on this one. And we can see this one. It doesn't look same thing, right? She looks like she's been losing some followers, but hasn't really mass deleted any tweets just yet. But again, I'm sure if we pay attention to this, she might. This may change. But if she received that communication, like Stan said already, and she's going to honor it, then this might not change at all. But she might try to be slick and delete DMs, because that's something she could do out of the public eye. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Oh, Crow is here. What's up, Crow?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's up, buddy?
Hey,
how's it going?
Stan's here.
Hey, Crow.
I guess we'll go a little bit longer now since Crow is here. What's up, Crow?
Yeah. Oh man, sorry, I didn't know you were wrapping up.
Oh no. I'll wrap up in like 20 minutes, because I know your stream is at 9:30. So we'll wrap into it since you're here. We can't just wrap it. You just got here. You can't wrap it now.
Oh, I mean, I appreciate that.
Crow's in the house.
What are your thoughts on this stuff, Crow? Because I went over all the docs and stuff.
So I thought it was, as far as like the GoFundMe getting taken down, because you probably already covered a bunch of stuff. So
yeah.
You know, the GoFundMe getting taken down. She said something about like being 6 hours, I think, to get it reinstated because she made a change, and I heard the change was making it $120,000 instead of $150,000 goal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe anything. Actually, hold on, never mind. Oh, she did change things.
Yeah, she changed some things. She did. She changed the title because she got an email saying that they didn't like her title. She got an email from
GoFundMe.
From GoFundMe safety.
Okay. So then what was her statement about GoFundMe? Oh,
Here, let me. I'm gonna link it to you. Because you'll for you to use in your thing later. But she basically, let me go to her main Twitter real quick. This is what she said. I'm gonna show the tweet, and I'll also send it to you, Crow. Because this is what she said in regards to that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. All right, I'm sending it in our private chat here, but I'll also show it on screen. This you could cut and paste it and use it for your stream later. But I'm going to show it on screen again here. I showed this earlier, but this is what she had to say, right? She said, I'm almost certain these trolls are just reporting the page. Please take a look at this double standard. I'm going to edit my page anyways. I'll let you know when it's back up. This is beyond infuriating. I don't know if people actually reported her page, but this is the what she got from Trust and Safety from GoFundMe. It says, "Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you for updating the fundraiser title and replying to our message. Due to reports we have received, we do require that you remove all personal identifiable information from the fundraiser, which includes names of other parties involved. This includes not only the title, but the body of the fundraiser itself. Please reply here when all the identifiable information has been removed so we can review. Sincerely, this is Kinsley from GoFundMe Trust and Safety." And then she tries to use this as an example, which I think this was a good example, right?
Terrible.
So, to show, I guess, look what this person did. Well, this person said, "Help Megan Ruiz with legal fees." And it says, "I am being sued by Chris Schaefer." I think she means just the fact that they mentioned the person's name, but that's about it. I don't think there's anything else in here that is really outside of her putting the person's name. There's not really. I didn't think this was a really great example for her to use that there's some kind of double standard. She said, "I'm being sued by Chris Schaefer for defamation, slander per se, libel per se, conspiracy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress," and then describes a tweet and stuff like that, and kind of a little bit different. Maybe things along the same lines, but still a little bit different, but not what Jisu was putting. But Jisu was basically calling the guy a pedophile and child abuser. So not really the same.
Title.
Yeah, not really the same when you're putting something that's defamatory for a GoFundMe for yourself, raising legal funds. Raising legal funds for yourself. I don't think it's really the same. So
not even close.
Yeah,
it was.
I mean, the fact that she's that inaccurate, like, okay, we saw day one GoFundMe, right?
Yes.
We saw day one GoFundMe.
Yes.
Intelligence is not is not a strong suit.
No, apparently not. not for her. Like I said, and we'll show the old GoFundMe here real quick as well. One more time for those of you. Let's go back down memory lane for a moment. Here he goes. And this was just yesterday. So here it is. Ex gamer and abuser ZeRo suing me for speaking up. And then you see what it says here, and of course her great source that she had put there. So yeah, not exactly the same.
So you went through you already read through like his filing and everything.
Yeah,
right?
I read through the filing, and and we can show it here again real quick. Maybe give a brief summary for people that might be joining last minute here. I won't go through the whole thing again because I already did. But I wanted to show you this though here, Crow, which is interesting, which I don't see other people saying. Right? Look right here. Can you see this, Crow? This is Gonzalo Barrios, an individual plaintiff, versus Jacqueline Cho, an individual, and Doe's 1 through 10 inclusive defendants.
Yes, he's got other people.
So he's not just suing her.
One thing I realized, right? And I'm gonna talk about a little bit is this. Okay, he doesn't mention the Katie story in this lawsuit, right?
Doesn't have to.
Well, okay. That the thing is,
she's included in those does.
Exactly.
More than likely, she's included in those does because we don't know her full identity. She's essentially a
people are bringing up that he's not denying the claim made by this Katie individual directly in his filing, right? He's denying the claim that he offered to fly a minor out to do illicit things with her. But the thing is, because Katie is completely fucking anonymous, right? There's no way for him to include it in his filing and deny the claim. He's best, and actually it makes sense why he wouldn't talk about it or deny it right now, because that would make it relevant to his lawsuit, right? Yes. He needs to shut his mouth about it and let fucking Jisu bring the girl up, right?
Yes.
And Jisu will have to go ahead and identify the girl if she wants to use her as a witness. I mean, there you go. But that would be exactly why he's keeping his mouth shut. And I mean, it's starting to amaze me that people like they don't understand how, like, how do you say it, right? There's point A. Well, there's the legal system, but I guess I'm more describing common sense, right? Like, the guy is not going to talk about something pertaining to a lawsuit. Specifically, he's not going to talk about something that could bring it up in the lawsuit if he doesn't want to. Yes, Jisu can, but that only benefits him because he has no clue who this girl is. And that, I mean, I imagine that she really, really doesn't want to be identified, either because she's, terrified of going public, or because potentially she said something that was false and doesn't want to be roped into a lawsuit. But if there's 1 to 10 does named in that lawsuit, I'm going to imagine she's one of the people being included.
Yes. Well, look at what it says here, and you tell me what you take from this, Carl. Right? So this is and I went through this with Stan too. So this will be the third time I'm going through it, but I want to get your take on it. So Barrios is a resident of Los Angeles County. Defendant Jacqueline Cho, or defendant, is a resident of Los Angeles County. The defendants named herein as does 1 through 10 inclusive are unknown to Barrios, who therefore sues such doe defendants by such fictitious names pursuant to Section 474 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Barrios is informed, believes, and therein alleges that each fictitiously named doe defendant is in some manner, means, or degree responsible for the events and happenings herein alleged. Barrios will amend this complaint to assert the true names and capacities of the fictitiously designated doe defendants when the same have been ascertained. So, I mean, you tell me, and we talked about this earlier, Crow, but to me, that sounds like once he gets those names, this lawsuit will be amended to include those names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To identify the persons that he will be suing. that he also believes is responsible. So she's either going to give up those names or she's going to try dying on that hill. I mean, I think his lawyers are going to get the names regardless, whether she wants to comply or not. She could try to moral grandstand and make it seem like, well, I'll follow my sword to protect them. You know what I mean? To try to win, the virtue signal, to look good in the public eye, right? To virtue signal and win brownie points in the public eye, to look like this very virtuous and great person, because she's essentially not going to stool on people. But I think that she'll end up folding like a launcher. She'll fold like a launcher, give up the names, right? Herself willingly.
Stab them in the back.
Yeah. And stab them in the back. Or she's going to she's going to try the moral. She's going to play the moral card, which still isn't going to matter at the end of the day. I don't think any of that, either route she goes, he's still going to get those names, I think, no matter what. Whether she gives them up willingly, he's going to get those names.
Well, for both of them, the suggestion now that hopefully Jisu has a lawyer, that both of them not say anything about this case publicly.
Yeah.
And just play it safe, because then anything they say regarding the case, don't be a Ron Toye.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, again, once they get those communications, I mean, and again, if she deletes anything, that's only going to make it worse for her. Deleting anything. Mm-hmm. So if
hopefully
she deletes,
her lawyer has told her that and has complied with the court.
Yeah. And this is what Morfessa says here. Exactly. Moral grandstanding literally doesn't work against attorneys and depositions. They will literally traumatize you for life if you try to think funny. Oh no, yeah, it's not going to help her. She'll do that. She'll do that purely to placate to the court of public opinion. It's not going to help her in actual court. That'll just be the virtue signal and make it seem like, oh man, look at what Jisu did. She never sold them out. She stayed true and she never sold them out. She protected them to the end. It'll be purely for optics. You know what I mean?
It'd be dumb to do that, but I mean,
yeah,
to virtue signal.
But that's the only, like I said, that's the only reason why she'll try to make it seem like, oh no, I'm not going to give up their names because they're victims and they deserve their anonymity and blah 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 blah. She'll try to spin it however she wants. You know what I mean? To look like a good person in the public eye. But
look,
like I said,
if she can raise $120,000 quickly for this lawsuit, then I think she'd be far more likely to fall on her sword and quote unquote defend their identities or whatever, because she knows she can go and rely on charity from other individuals later on, right?
Yeah.
By making that whole argument about how she's the real victim and how she was willing to defend these girls, yada yada yada. However, if she's failing to make these GoFundMe goals, right? If she's saying that she doesn't really have that much financial support, I mean, you sell those girls out quick, and you really fucking hope that it somehow lessens the damage that's coming your way. But again, I mentioned on stream last night, we're doing a ton of fucking speculation, which is fun. At the end of the day, California has to my understanding, the anti-slap in California is actually pretty strict. But to Jisu's credit, she's done a lot of damage to the idea that she can get this dismissed with an anti-slap or whatever.
Yeah, I was looking at anti-slap earlier actually, and I don't think any argument that her attorneys will be able to provide will grant her that. I could be wrong. Because again, I'm not a lawyer. You know what I mean? I could be completely wrong, but at least my understanding of how anti-slap is in California, I don't think that they'll be able to get a dismissal.
Typically, defamation lawsuits live or die on whether or not they're going to meet the slap standard, though.
Yeah,
and I mean that's basically what it comes down to. If he can get past that, I think it's a slam dunk case, right? Because again, you can opine on Twitter all you want. You can say, but what about this, and that, and speculate. It's cool, but in a court of law, none of that fucking matters. The jury's only going to be given specific information to formulate their decision, and they're going to leave out a lot of the shit that's just, I'm not inflammatory, but what do you say, like highly prejudicial, with that
Yeah.
doesn't actually, contribute to the case.
Yeah.
Saying that there's this anonymous girl who's also accusing him, Jisu has to provide that testimony, and if she refuses to provide that witness, it's not going to come up in court. That's a problem. It's not going to come up in court. Neither will his suicide note. Neither will the suicide note.
Yeah.
It's up to Jisu to introduce that victim, and as other people pointed out, that's the most serious claim against him. If he never has to address it in court, and Jisu's dying on the other claims she's made, which we know are false, we can confirm those ones are false. She is 100% fucked.
Yeah.
I don't see this ending well for her.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
It's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. And the fact that a lot of the stuff is still publicly available. And the fact that she still defamed the guy even after receiving the suit, I'm just like, oh my Lord, she hasn't gotten a lawyer. And on her GoFundMe, I was like, oh man.
Well, on her GoFundMe, she mentions the other cases that she's been involved in.
Yes.
Okay, like you just made those relevant, right?
Yeah.
Like there are certain things that you don't want the jury to hear about or the judge to hear about in your case, right? That's one of those things that you don't want them to fucking know about. But she made it relevant, so people are going to be bringing up every time she's been involved in something and go like, and you lied about this, and this is where you said this, but this is actually what happened, and you claim this happened, but we have 10 signed affidavits saying that that didn't happen. So why are you making this statement? Right? Yeah. They'll have her on the stand, and they'll make her out to be one of the most dishonest individuals that these people have ever fucking come across. And her problem is she's blatantly fucking dishonest, and she's not going to have the cheerleader squad following her around and yelling at anybody who's pointing out you look like a fucking scumbag, like through and fucking through.
Yeah.
Nope, they won't get anywhere near the court. No. Yeah, that would go towards establishing her character in court. So, and like I said before, regardless if she raises the $120,000, my advice to her is settle before it goes any further.
Yeah,
I don't think she will.
Well, that's entirely up to her, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing progresses.
One of the things I was thinking about is she's used to winning, right? Like she's used to winning in all of these situations, and up until technicals got involved,
well, that's because she had no resistance. Yeah,
well, exactly. Before, yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, put it like this, right? Fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, right? There's this episode, right? And he's got to fight these like 7 shadow duelists or whatever, right? Yeah. And one of the duelists is like this crazy fucking pharaoh who's never lost a fucking duel ever in his fucking life, and everyone's like, oh man, this guy's gonna be hard to defeat. And like they're playing it and they realize this guy fucking sucks. And the only reason why I ever won is because everyone was terrified to actually beat him because he was the pharaoh. So I'm like, you have a situation where you have someone who's had easy layup after easy layup and affected mass change doing it, right?
Yes.
And no pushback. And when she has gotten pushback, her supporters have drowned that criticism, drowned that pushback out. Yeah. Up until the Sky Williams thing, right? Jisu is probably thinking that she is untouchable,
yes.
Right? Like she's openly mocking technicals, going around to other people to get them to talk shit about the guy. Like she thinks that she's on top. And then Sky Williams' video drops. She's fucked, right? She absolutely is. It looks terrible. A bunch of people start apologizing to Sky Williams, including people who had her back.
Yeah.
Now I'm just, oh man.
Well, the tide started to turn a little bit with that. Like the Sky Williams thing was where things kind of started to shift a little bit, and then the preceding stuff after that. So I don't think she has as much momentum as she used to. But look, make no mistake. I mean, look, she did. She had no resistance beforehand. So I think all her shit talking afterwards and all that, I think comes from that, right? From what you said earlier, that she feels untouchable, a false sense of security that, I got this, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why she was openly, taking shots at people, taking her victory laps, talking the shit that she did, which is still up, by the way. All that shit is still up, and it will absolutely be used against her. In this case, it will absolutely be used against her. To show I think malice. You know what I mean, on her part. So.
Well, and again, do you mean malice as in to prove that she's a bitch, or malice as in to prove that she knows she's lying?
I think, I obviously in the legal sense, but I think also to show that she's a bitch, but really, yeah, in the legal sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think she's screwed on both fronts.
Because she's not going to, again, she's left the door open for so many things that you would normally never see brought up, right?
Yeah.
Her activities as an activist, sure, but like her actual stances and what happened and whether or not she's an honest person here, and here, like these are not things that you really want to be like talking to a jury about or talking to a judge about at all. And we've seen her on camera. Like she's not a good liar. Like that's the other part. She's a really bad liar. She looks like she is lying when she is talking.
Yeah. Yeah, she does. Well, the thing is, bro, we've seen instances where she's contradicted herself, right? When she talked about stuff, and hasn't realized it. I mean, Technicals, I think, did a great job of pointing that out in this video. It's just like, hey, this is all from the same stream that she did. Look, she said this, and then listen to what she says here. And it's like, oh, it's no bueno, man. It's no good. So, like I said, I think ZeRo's got a great chance. I don't think, and again, could be completely wrong, and will absolutely admit to being wrong if that's what ends up happening. But I don't think. I think that her attorneys are going to try anti-slap from the jump, or they should, but I don't think it's going to take, even if they try. So
it'll be interesting to see how this develops.
Yeah, it really will, and I'm going to try to be on top of it as much as I can. I'm sure there's other people that will be too. I know Crow will be, right, Crow? Putting you on the spot. But let me hold on. There was a comment I want to highlight here. Yeah, before we go ahead and close out the stream here. So what was it? Let me see. Dippin' Sauce says, I feel like many people miss the point of Tex Nairo video. He basically just said, if you can be proven innocent, why not do it? I think that's part of that could be part of it, but I think his biggest point with the Nairo video was to show the double standard, by these tournament organizers and how they apply the rules. I think that was his main, and that's why I believe, like with the ZeRo video, I think it was just, for me at least, I took it as a primer for the Nairo situation, just to show that, hey, look, you have this guy, you have two guys, right, that were big in the community. You have one guy that is a little bit more loved, was a little bit more universally loved than the other guy, right? And the thing is, he broke the rules, and one can look at his situation, and that being Nairo, and say that it is objectively worse than the ZeRo situation. Because again, we don't know for a fact that this stuff happened in the ZeRo situation. We only know, the other things we do know for a fact is that he knew that the girl was 14 and that he did have some inappropriate conversations with her, right? Not even, we don't have any proof of any sexually charged conversations. One could look at some of the stuff and some of the things that we're saying and say that is suggestive, but we don't have anything that is gratuitous and overtly sexual in any of those messages. And and obviously nobody's going to ask to see any kind of exchanging of images, you know what I mean? But you don't even have any messages where he's requesting any. You just have a claim that this person made, and then ZeRo again admitting to that claim after the fact, right? But we have to take again into account that he has admitted to things before that didn't necessarily end up being true. So people are hanging on to his admission thinking like, oh, he admitted it, he was telling the truth. It's like, well, how do you know he was telling the truth? Because there's other stuff that he's admitted to and then recanted after the fact. So why is that admission more true than the other ones? Why are you completely dismissing those? You know what I mean? And how do we know that it's true or false. We don't know. That's the thing. The water. It was stupid of him to have admitted to anything he didn't do at all, but apparently it's something that he has a pattern of doing. So again, these are things that we have to take into consideration. Like I said, and I'm not defending ZeRo. I don't know ZeRo. You know what I mean? I have no skin in the game with him. You know what for all I know, he could have actually done all these things, and you know that proof may still exist out there and may surface someday. I don't know. But at least as far as what we know right now and what's out in the public space, there's nothing that unequivocally proves it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's really all we can go by is what's out there publicly right now. Oh, thank you, Zombie, for the 5. Appreciate it, buddy. Crow's about to be late for his own live stream. I'm actually going to put his live stream there in the chat for y'all to go to after this one. But we're going to go ahead and close this one out here pretty soon. Let me see. Alexander Sai says, how long do you think the court case will be? It might be a while before it even gets to court. It could be a year, it could be 2 before it even sees the inside of a courtroom. I guess it all depends on what happens within these next couple of months. Whether or not, I mean, because
first the next couple of weeks, because
Jisu,
if she gets a lawyer, has to reply to this document here.
I think within 30 days, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, unless it says otherwise. But I think it's 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe she has to reply within 30 days, and then from there, I mean, because I'm trying to remember what happened. Like in Vic's case, I think did they have the hearing first, or they had a hearing first, right, before anything? Then it went to depositions and things like that.
Well, each side, you know, had their response to the initial, which this is ZeRo's initial. So they had that response, and then they'll have a hearing to establish ground rules, and then it'll go from there. And then decide on depositions and whatnot.
All right. So I'll get this last one from Morfessa, who says, I think the defense can mitigate the settlement payment by trying to say that the false stories were not the main reason that ZeRo lost revenue and push most of that to the Katie situation. Maybe. I mean, and that's another thing too, that's actually, that's actually a good point to bring up. If you know, Jisu, in order to save herself, might throw somebody or a couple of these people under the bus to save her own skin.
Yep.
That is absolutely a possibility.
Yeah. And if she was smart and she had a smart lawyer, she would, like I said, settle out before and then include a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
For all parties, so that neither side could talk about it.
Yeah.
And then with strict penalties if either side did break that rule.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Like that, and it wouldn't surprise me. So, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But I am going to go ahead and end the stream now. I appreciate each and every one of you coming on here tonight. Thank you to Stan. Thank you to Crow. Showing up and talking with me, guys. Appreciate y'all. I'll probably pop on a Crow stream a little bit later. So I left the link in the chat there for those of you that want to head on over to his stream. He'll be starting up here. But we're going to go ahead and call it. Thank you, Zombie. You are once again the stream daddy. Appreciate you, buddy. And I appreciate each and every one of you joining me tonight there in the chat. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.